Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 Today.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for choosing NBC 16 Today. I'm Dane Wormlinger. We're going to continue this morning with our team coverage. We're at Hayward Field live for the Olympic trials. Genevieve and I in the studio, and our Jonathan Acosta joining us live again at Hayward Field. He's providing updates on the events that we've already seen and some things that we can look forward to once things pick back up on Thursday. Jonathan, good morning. How you doing out there?
Hey, good morning, Dane. Certainly less foot traffic around Hayward Field today. There's a break in the action today and tomorrow. Sort of a chance for people to recharge the batteries before the action returns on Thursday and that second weekend where we'll finalize the U.S. track and field team for the Tokyo Games next month. And coming up later in the newscast, we take a closer look at a spot on the coast that has some history with the area when it comes to track and field and the Olympics. And as it's on the coast, it's also a chance to escape the heat that we're feeling here in Eugene. Everyone looking to stay cool. Live at Hayward Field, I'm Jonathan Acosta. Dane, back to you in the studio.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. And Genevieve, I am so jealous of all of our staff that gets to go out and see Hayward Field. It's gorgeous, and we're showing it off with the shimmer in the sunlight there.
I know, it really is beautiful over there, Dane, and such a gorgeous morning, a lot cooler than what we have been seeing. As yesterday we were in the 90s, today we're not going to get as hot. As we take a live look outside, things looking pretty beautiful there, and temperatures in the high 50s this morning, 57, but yesterday we broke a record in Roseburg and hit 97 degrees. Our old record was 94. Today we're not going to get quite as hot, and we're also tracking some chances of showers this morning here in Eugene. Expect to see 1/100 of an inch this morning, and then a beautiful day ahead of us as we're going to get up into the 70s by this afternoon, and then potentially we'll get up into the 80s. But will we get as hot as we were yesterday? Well, I'll fill you in coming up.
All right, Genevieve, we're going to take you live now to Washington, D.C., where an effort to move forward on voting rights is expected to hit a wall in the U.S. Senate today. Tracy Potts is here with us to explain that this debate is largely about how lawmakers get business done.
A vote is happening in the U.S. Senate this afternoon on whether to move forward on voting rights, a bill known as the For the People Act. It expands voter registration, early voting, and tightens rules around election security, interference, finance, and ethics.
We don't expect there to be a magical 10 votes.
10 Republicans, that's required just to move things forward. And that won't happen today. The parties united against it. So this bill may never come up for debate. The real question is how many Democrats agree. A handful have said publicly they want 60 votes, support from both parties, just to debate.
That is nowhere to be found in the Constitution. And it just became a tool for obstruction.
Republicans argue Democrats have used the 60-vote rule before.
The same Senate rule a Democratic minority had used with abandon was now somehow a racist relic.
Are you afraid to debate it? Do you not have any good arguments?
A compromise voting rights bill introduced by Democrat Joe Manchin also failed to get Republican support. So after today, it may be back to square one. Black Voters Matter activists are headed to Washington today to push for a voting rights law. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
We are shifting gears now to our coronavirus coverage. A report by the Oregon Health Authority shows vaccinating long-term care residents is at 84% in the state, but only 62% of staff are vaccinated. At this point right now, OHA wants to collect more data from long-term care facilities here in Oregon to make sure that staff and residents are meeting the vaccination rate goal of 75%. Residents in these facilities might be fully vaccinated now, but the state still wants staff vaccination rates to increase for better safety.
But unless we get vaccination rates up high in staff, we will continue to see introduction events, which could lead to spread in these settings. So it's all about kind of maintenance and keeping those vaccination levels high over time to prevent outbreaks as we go forward.
OHA says they have found vaccination percentages to be lower in southern and eastern Oregon. And as Oregon is inching closer to that 70% threshold to reopen, Governor Brown's office saying that as of Sunday, 68.7% of people ages 18 and older are now at least partially vaccinated. Just under 50,000 people still need to get their first dose in order to help us reach that 70%. Well, CDC experts are set to meet Wednesday to talk about reports of a heart ailment that's linked to coronavirus coronavirus vaccines in youths and young adults. The panel of advisors is the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. The committee will be hearing about reports of 300+ cases of heart inflammation in youths and young adults who were recently vaccinated. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky saying the report involves the mRNA types of vaccines made by both Pfizer and Moderna. Doctors who have treated such inflammation cases say they were easy to treat and most patients recovered. The panel will look at the risk level of the linked reports and whether the risks outweigh the benefits of vaccination. Now, we spoke with the company running the security at the trials on how they're helping to keep the event safe. They explained to our NBC 16 team that they screen spectators as they enter the field. Pano Security partnered with the Clear app to help verify vaccination status and to do temperature checks. It's a big event for the Hawaii-based company, one that almost didn't happen because it was unclear for a while there if fans would even be allowed into the trials.
You know, it was leading up to it. We didn't think it was going to happen, but when we got that call, we were ready. It's good to see people out, and it's good to see people just together in large crowds and just seeing smiles on everybody's faces. And, you know, we've been blessed with wonderful weather, so it's awesome.
Waddell says the first few days have gone fairly smoothly. The added COVID precautions haven't slowed down security too much. Waddell says they screened about 1,200 people per hour just on Sunday. Well, the trials are happening at a time when the state of Oregon is close to reopening and lifting most of its COVID restrictions. This event is giving local businesses a chance to be in the spotlight. Thinking Tree Spirits is taking advantage of that opportunity and is highlighting their products. During the course of the pandemic, the distillery made the pivot to producing hand sanitizer, and now they're excited to take part in the trials.
As a small company, it's a big deal for us to be on what I would consider a national stage in front of all of the people that are coming here for this. But also just the significance of what this means after such a long year and a half, that everybody gets to come together and celebrate.
Howard adds this is an investment for their brand and a chance to show their support for the community. And speaking of getting out into the community, with these days off for the Olympic trials, there are a lot of cool things you can do around Western Oregon. We're back live at Hayward Field, where our Jonathan Acosta joins us to tell us about one great spot to check out if you're interested in some track and field history. Jonathan.
Hey, Dane. Yeah, with a pause in the action, it's a chance for some athletes and fans to head just a couple of hours away to Coos Bay, the home of American running legend Steve Prefontaine. Now, many will visit Pre's Rock here in Eugene, but with the days off, they can also head out to the coast to visit Prefontaine's hometown and his gravesite. In downtown Coos Bay, a mural honors the local legend who never lost a collegiate race longer than a mile while at Oregon. It displays Prefontaine in high school, college, and post-college with a quote.
He represented, I think, the blue-collar, hard-working ethic of this city, and I think that's what people liked about him, that this guy just always gave it his best. One of the quotes up here on the murals is, he always thought you should give it your best, and he always did. He never disappointed.
Greif says Prefontaine inspired so many runners while he was alive and still does more than 45 years after his death. So, Dane, a couple of days off, that's certainly a cool place to check out. I know what people do these next 2 days, they will certainly be looking to cool off from the heat that we've been experiencing lately.
You're right about that, Jonathan. Of course, the Willamette River is a great way to do that, but like you mentioned there, the coast sounds really nice too. Thank you so much for that report, Jonathan. We'll catch up with you in just a few. Well, the Tokyo Olympics officially kick off in 1 month time. The games have already been postponed by a year now due to COVID-19, and they are expected to be held with strict health measures. International spectators will not be allowed to enter Japan for the Olympics amid those public concerns over the virus. Well, as for domestic spectators, organizers have put a cap of 50% on their venue capacity. That's up to a maximum of 10,000 people. The opening ceremony for the games will be on July 23rd. The Oregon legislature is now working on a bill that would allow endorsement deals for college athletes. The state Senate passing the measure earlier this month. However, it still needs to be approved in the House before it can make it to the governor's desk. Supporters say it'll allow Oregon to stay competitive in recruiting, as other states are about to enact their own laws allowing endorsement deals. An 11-year-old girl is being remembered after she was pulled underwater by a sneaker wave at Cannon Beach just last week. And although first responders were able to pull Lily Markwell out and get her to a hospital, she did not survive. Just last night, friends and schoolmates gathered to remember her and make cards for Lily's family. As temperatures rise here in our area and people head to the water to beat the heat, lifeguards now warning people about the strength of water, whether you're at the beach or a river.
Our first priority generally in rivers is to make sure that everyone's wearing a Coast Guard approved life jacket. Unlike a pool, rivers are not a controlled environment. Things change day to day, season to season.
Lifeguards say it's also important for parents to keep a close eye on their kids because conditions out there can change very quickly. Well, the Eugene City Council voting unanimously in favor of a ban on the use of fireworks in areas south of 18th Avenue and just east of Agate Street. That ban is for the rest of this year and into 2022. They're pointing to current drought conditions and the potential threat of wildfires in the South Hills area. An analysis completed back in 2014 actually identified the South Hills as a very high fire hazard.
We restrict these to things that are, the rockets, the things that really can fly in the air and catch things on fire are not allowed now, so people can still have a sparkler.
The ordinance wouldn't affect fireworks sales in the area this year, but it would prohibit them next year. It is now 6:42 on your Tuesday morning, and next on NBC 16 today, as Jeff Bezos prepares to head off into space, a lot of people out there don't want him to come back. Plus, an elephant is trending this morning after he got a little hangry. We'll bring you the latest on that and much more after the break.